Hello, everybody. This is your boy SlickestHitz coming to you with a quick card review, and we're joined by Overlord MC. MC, how are you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Today, we're taking a look at some of the cards that were announced over the past couple days for the new expansion, Scholomance Academy. There are a lot of cards that have been revealed in the last 24, 48 hours or so. We're not going to go through every single card, but we're just going to go through some of them that are really impactful.
Mhm.
And first, we'll start it off with the Mage minion. It's a 1 mana minion lab partner. It's a 1/3 with +1 spell damage. MC, how do you feel about the card?
Oh, definitely with this, I'm starting to see the power creep in this set. I think we mentioned in a previous video before, Dire Maul from in Wild Season or Wild format. Basically same stats. Dire Maul was a vanilla minion, but this one having spell damage, could actually really help out. And 1/3 is pretty strong.
And yeah, I definitely agree. So we'll try and rank all of these cards as we go out of 1 through 5. It's the same
hmm
scale that we've used before. Putting it on a scale, where do you think it'll fall?
Ooh, you know what? I'm actually gonna give it a 4 because kind of feel like people are gonna auto include this maybe first couple weeks and stuff. See how
Hmm.
it goes with new decks. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much right there with you. I think it's going to be a really good card. The value you get just stats alone, a 1/3 for 1 cost, is really good tempo, really good value. I think it's better than a Dire Maul. Sure, it doesn't have that beast synergy that hunters were looking for. But the spell damage is also really important. It'll help out with early clear. Your Arcane Breath now does 3 damage without the need to play the Astromancer.
hmm
I think it'll be really good. I think I'm up there with you. Unless we see only no minion mages and things like that, I'll give this guy
Yeah,
a
that's what I was
4.
kind of thinking. It's definitely dependent on the deck archetype.
All right, so we're gonna jump right into the next card. It is a 3 mana dual class card for Paladin and Priest, Gift of Luminance. And it's a spell that gives Divine Shield to a minion, and then you summon a 1/1 copy of it. So I actually think this card is going to be really good, especially because
hmm
of the package that we see with Paladins right now. It's these buffs that also give your minions Death Rattle. So if you have a bunch of Librams of Wisdoms paired up on a cheap minion or on any minion, you copy it. All of a sudden, you get double the value worth of
Ah, I didn't think
those
of that.
spells and buffs. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's definitely going to have a lot of utility in the Paladin deck. In maybe a cube block, or excuse me, a cube priest type deck, you can see some utility in there. But I think this is going to be a
hmm
pretty good include in a pure Paladin build. I would give it a
Ah,
4 out of 5.
I say about the same 4 out of 5. I was actually thinking more on the priest side of it, especially with the cube priest archetype.
Mm,
This having a cheaper copy spell with no real downsides to it, I think this can be really strong. Because if you think about it, what else are the copy spells? They're like 5 costs, four
hmm
costs. Yeah, so having a 3 cost, I think would really help.
Yeah, I think it is. You can also take a look at it as something like a psychic split. I don't think it's
hmm
you don't get the same utility of it because you don't buff a minion or anything like that. But if it
hmm
is a minion that itself has value, like a Mana
Some
Saber,
kind of
like a
death rot.
Sethic,
Yeah.
something like that that just has inherent value in it, this card does get really good. And giving the minion itself Divine Shield is also pretty good.
So I
Um,
see both classes definitely going to benefit. So yeah, 4 to 5, I'd say.
all right. Now we're gonna move on to our next one. I believe it's the first legendary minion that was announced for Paladins. It is Turleon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Turleon the Tenured. It's a big boy. It's an 8 mana minion with rush, 3 attack, 12 health, and whenever this attacks a minion, set the defender's attack and health to 3. MC, how do you feel about this one?
Oh, I think you already know what I'm gonna say with this one, but it just reminds me of good old Sunkeeper
Hmm.
Tarum. Just not exactly the same. Tarum was way stronger in my opinion, but at least with this single target removal, uh, turning something to a 3/3, and this having 3/12 stats, it's pretty strong. So essentially, it's gonna be a 3/9 after you swing in with it, which is
Hmm.
still pretty beefy. At 8 costs. Might be a little bit heavy on the mana side, so rating wise, I probably want to give it maybe a 3 to be honest, right in the middle.
I think you're right on with it. Yeah, it's a nice card, but I just don't think it's good enough to be really, really good. Essentially, what I'm seeing
hmm
it as an 8 mana targeted removal or an 8 mana removal with 3/9 stats, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. It's not bad, but the only problem is it's not going to remove anything if there's taunt in the way, other than the taunt minion. It's not going to remove anything that has divine shield if it has to attack into a divine shield. But it is really sticky, right? The 312,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of stats on the board. So we'll see what the Paladin build and other releases look like before making a final judgment. But I don't think it's that great. It can be, but I'd probably
We'll
give it a
see.
3 as well. Mhm.
Mm.
All right, so let's move on right to the next one, and I'm actually pretty excited about this card. I think it's going to be really good. It's a Devout Pupil. It's a dual class card for Priest and Paladin. 6 mana cost, minion with 4 health, 5 attack, Divine Shield Taunt, and costs 1 less for each spell you've cast on friendly characters this game. So this effect also triggers whenever you cast a spell on your hero. So if you're healing and things like
Mm.
that, it reduces the value of it as well. So I think this is going to be really good. Just looking at it alone, a 6 mana Divine Shield Taunt for 4 or 5, it's not very good. That's Defender of there's a vanilla card like that, right? A 6
4
mana
or
4/5
5. Yeah,
with
yeah,
Divine
yeah.
Shield Taunt. But this has all of those other abilities. You can hopefully cheat this out on turn 4, and oh boy, that's a really good card to play on turn 4.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
and you can even you'll probably see it for free as well. So I'm gonna give this a 4/5. I think you'll see it in both decks for Priest and Paladin. But I'm leaning towards it being better in Paladin just because the amount of cheap buff spells that you'll see cast.
Mm-hmm. I want to say the same thing. 4 to 5, just because of utility in both classes. Again, definitely going to be probably alongside the pure Libram deck for Pally, just because the Librams you're pretty much going to get them for free, so you can pretty much cheat this thing out quicker.
Mhm,
But on the priest side of it, because you can target characters, so it just made me realize like stuff like Renew would help out.
mhm,
So I thought it'd be a little slower for priest, but maybe not so much. Maybe
mhm.
like maybe slower than paladin, but still you'd be able to cheat this out pretty easily with priest. So I'd say 4 to 5.
All right. So now we're moving into some pretty interesting cards. Next up, we have the neutral legendary Keymaster Alabaster. It's a pretty cool name.
Hmm.
7 mana, 6/8. Whenever your opponent draws a card, add a copy to your hand that costs 1. MC, how do you feel about this?
I think this card is bonkers.
Mm,
This is the type of card like I'd want to see in like expansions and stuff. 7 being somewhat cheap for a high cost, but stats being 6/8, definitely pretty nice. Splashable in any type of deck because it's a neutral. And if you're playing against a high value deck, maybe some cards that you'd want to steal, you getting it for 1. Maybe you might have some cards that let both of you guys draw or something. I think it's gonna be pretty nuts. So I want to say because what, I think I'm actually give it a 5.
nice. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm almost there. I have a feeling it's going to be a really great card. The reason why I think it is going to be good is because you're guaranteed to get at least one card from it. Right? This is the
Hmm.
kind of card that you definitely need to have your opponent. Your opponent has to remove, unless you're playing against maybe like an aggro deck and somehow you make it to turn 7. But if they're playing a combo or a control, any card that you're drawing and you're getting to play it for 1 mana, that's going to be pretty good. I don't think that there are any cards available as of now that you could play this with to make your opponent draw, unless you like pair with Glide, but that would still need like a Skull of Gul'dan or something like that to discount one or the other.
Hmm.
Regardless, I think this card is very interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. I don't think I'm gonna give it a 5 just as yet, but
Hmm.
I'll give it a 4/5, and I think it's gonna be a legendary that we're gonna have to look out for.
Yeah, maybe I do want to kind of retract it a little. Can I do that?
No, you can't. You've already said it.
Okay.
We're moving
All right.
on.
For sure.
All right. Next up is we're not going to talk about all of these soul fragment cards right now because there were so many that were released, but we do want to talk about this new mechanic that is being introduced for the warlock demon hunter dual class builds, and it's this soul fragment. So what it is, there are a bunch of new cards that are being included that allow you to add a soul fragment into your deck. This is what a soul fragment is. It's a 0 mana that casts when drawn, and you restore 2 health to your hero. So in some situations, there are cards that will put 2 soul fragments in your deck or put a soul fragment into your deck. When you draw them, you heal. Or there are other cards that are used as destruction of those soul fragment cards, like this Soulcologist Militia. For each soul fragment in your deck, summon a 3/3 with Rush. That's a lot of utility there. It's a little tough for us to rate them now because it looks like there's still a lot of developments going on, but I think this soul fragment package, maybe not necessarily this legendary itself, but some of the other cards that we've seen, they're gonna be really, really good, and I'm very excited to see them in play for Warlock and for Demon Hunter. I'm more excited about the Warlock cards, to be perfectly honest. The Taunt card, you know what, let me just put this on. Thank you to Hearthstone Replay for putting all of these things together, or excuse me, for out of cards. So if you take a look at this, and you see all of these different Soul Fragment cards, the ones for Warlock look really, really good. MC, what are your opinion on these things?
Hold on. I got it. Yeah, actually, I was a little bit leaning more towards the. Yeah, I would say Warlock. I think they're gonna benefit the most. Just because I'm not sure, but I mean the healing, and then like throwing things in your deck, you kind of see that already with the quest, Warlock decks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's going to be some kind of synergy package with that, which is going to just get that deck out of maybe so much of a control deck, a control combo deck, and more of into just like a linear type of streamline thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this whole package is like reminds me of the whole Galakron thing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
being able to put things in your deck or trigger effects, you know, that don't automatically, you know, come out of cards or something. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
really strong for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I agree as well. Like the exact impact that it'll have on each deck is hard. It's hard to see right now because it almost looks like you can craft a tempo demon warlock deck and put
Mm-hmm.
these in there, and you're gonna get so much value. A 3 mana 3/4 that destroys does 3 damage to a target is really good. A
And
five
healing up.
mana a 5 mana 7/8 with taunt is nuts, right?
Talking
Before
about the Void
the
Drinker.
Void Drinker, before the only 7/8 with taunt in the game made you overload for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
actually, for one Soul Fragment, that's pretty strong. Because just seeing how many Soul Fragment cards or support there's gonna be,
mhm.
yeah, I think that's really easy to get off.
Yeah, so it'll definitely depend on how easy it is to put these soul fragments in your deck. But you look at this 3-drop School Spirits, a 2 damage AoE for 3 mana,
That's
and you
pretty
get 2 soul
strong.
fragments. That's pretty. It's pretty good. Hellfire costs what, 4 mana, and it does 3 damage to everything, including your own face.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course that is one additional damage, but this is like a Breath of the Infinite, right?
Mm-hmm.
With less favorable conditions. If you have a dragon in hand, you don't damage your own minions. This is always going to damage your own minions. But I don't know. It's going to be. I think it's going to be really good, and I'm excited to
Mm-hmm.
see it. So those are
Because I
all of the. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, past Warlock decks always had like a good amount of AOE, and I think this is one of those cards, or School Spirits is definitely gonna be kind of to bridge that gap to bring him back to getting more AOE and disruption and such.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely.
All right, so that's all the cards that we're going to cover for today. There's a lot more out there, so please keep tuning in, and we'll cover as many as we can between now and the expansion, which has been announced for August 6th. So very close. We're like 10 days away.
Wow,
Um, MC, thank you very much for all the help today,
for sure. Thank you, everyone.
and peace out, everyone. Don't forget, hit that follow button on the Twitter. That's twitter.com/SlickestHitz. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like the content, and please follow me on Twitch TV/SlickestHitz. Peace out, everybody.